She was selling her doll to save her mother. Then a millionaire appeared. Lily took a deep breath, placed the doll on a colorful handkerchief, and sat down on the weathered wooden bench. The doll, Emma, with her button eyes and wool hair, was her only tangible memory of her father. Michael had passed away 3 years ago, taken by an illness that no one in the village had been able to identify in time. Now her mother, Sarah, was facing the same uncertain fate. Doll for sale. A beautiful special doll. Lily's childish voice echoed across the empty square, while stubborn tears threatened to fall. I need to buy medicine for my mother. The few people passing by looked with pity but continued on their way. Some left a coin, others just shook their heads sadly. The medicine that Sarah needed cost much more than a few charity coins could buy. The sky was already darkening when a shiny black car stopped near the square. The man who stepped out walked with an erect, confident posture, wearing a suit that seemed out of place in that fishing village. Nathan Reed observed the girl from a distance for a few minutes, intrigued by the determination in her childish voice. How much is your doll? He asked, approaching with measured steps. Lily looked up, meeting a face with firm features and distant eyes. $200, sir, she's very special. A slight smile crossed Nathan's lips. $200 was obviously an amount that a child thought was a lot of money, though to him it meant almost nothing. And why are you selling something so special? He asked, sitting down beside her. My mum is sick. She needs expensive medicine. She works making crafts, but she can't make anything anymore. It's just the two of us now. Lily caressed the doll lovingly. Emma would understand. Daddy used to say that sometimes we have to give up something we love for someone we love even more. Nathan felt something stir inside him. He had stopped feeling for so long that the discomfort was almost physical. I'm not going to buy your doll, he said finally. He saw the disappointment in the girl's eyes, who quickly began to put Emma back in her small bag. But, he continued, perhaps I can help your mother in another way. Where do you live? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Suspicion took over Lily's face. Her large brown eyes narrowed. I can't take strangers home. My mum taught me that. Nathan nodded, approving of the child's caution. My name is Nathan Reed. I'm a doctor, or I was. He hesitated briefly. If you prefer, we can go to the village health clinic. Nurse Mrs. Wilson knows me. Lily considered for a moment. Mrs. Wilson was respected by everyone in Harbor Cove. If she knew the man, perhaps it was safe. All right, she finally agreed. The small health clinic was just a few minutes away. When they entered, Mrs. Wilson, a lady with gray hair and a welcoming smile, widened her eyes. Dr. Reed, it's been so long. What brings you back to our village after so many years? Just passing through, Helen, he answered dryly, as if wanting to avoid the subject. This is Lily. Her mother is sick and needs help. Mrs. Wilson looked at the girl tenderly. Sarah Turner's daughter. Yes, your mother is very sick, child. The clinic doesn't have enough resources for the treatment she needs. Turning to Nathan, she explained, severe anemia, probably aplastic from what we suspect. She would need specialized tests, perhaps regular transfusions, possibly a transplant depending on the cause. Nathan's eyes seemed to cloud for an instant, as if a distant storm were approaching. Where do they live, Helen? In the old Turner house near the cove. Michael, the girl's father, was also a craftsman. Made wonderful wood sculptures before he left us. Lily squeezed the doll tighter. Can I take the doctor there, Mrs. Wilson? He said he wants to help Mom. The nurse looked Nathan in the eyes, as if searching for something long lost. Dr. Reed was once one of the country's best hematologists, Lily. If anyone can help your mother, it's him. Nathan looked away, visibly uncomfortable. I'm not promising anything. Let's just take a look at the situation. The Turner house was a simple seaside construction. The faded blue walls resembled the sky on clear days. A small porch displayed some unfinished craft pieces, silent witnesses to Sarah's interrupted talent. Lily carefully opened the door. Mom, I brought someone to see you. Sarah was lying on an improvised sofa bed in the living room. Despite her extreme paleness and evident thinness, her features still held a serene beauty. Upon seeing Nathan, she tried to get up, but weakness prevented her. "Please don't strain yourself," said Nathan, approaching. "I'm a doctor. Your daughter found me in the square trying to sell her doll to buy your medicine." Sarah looked at Lily with a mixture of love and concern. "Lily, I told you not to do that. Emma is your only memento of your father." "But Mom, you need to get better," replied the girl with tears in her eyes. Nathan observed the environment. The house, though simple, was clean and organized. On the walls, photos of the family in happier times. In one, a smiling man embraced Sarah and a younger Lily. On another shelf, wooden sculptures displayed Michael Turner's talent. "Mrs. Turner," Nathan began, "I'd like to examine you if you'll allow it. Afterward, we can discuss treatment options." Sarah agreed with a weak gesture. Nathan performed a basic clinical examination, confirming his initial suspicions. The anemia was at an advanced stage. Without urgent treatment, the chances of recovery were minimal. "Do you have any relatives who could help?" he asked, while putting the stethoscope back in the bag he had retrieved from his car. Sarah exchanged a meaningful look with Lily before answering. "I have a sister in New York, but we haven't spoken in years. After Michael," she hesitated. "After we lost Michael, she tried to take Lily, saying I couldn't raise her alone." "And you really can't?" A sharp voice sounded from the door that had been left ajar. "I see the situation has only gotten worse, Sarah." In the doorway stood Victoria Turner, a woman of approximately 40, impeccably dyed hair and clothes. That screamed new money. Her calculating gaze swept the room, lingering on Nathan with evident interest. "Aunt Victoria?" Lily frowned, clearly not happy with the surprise visit. "I came to visit you and find this," said Victoria, gesturing dramatically. "My sister dying on a couch and a stranger in the house. Who are you anyway?" Nathan stood up, facing the newcomer. "Dr. Nathan Reed. And Mrs. Turner is not dying. She has severe anemia that needs specialized treatment." "A doctor?" Victoria laughed with disdain. "And what are you doing here in this backwater, Doctor? Medical tourism?" "Aunt, Dr. Nathan wants to help Mum," intervened Lily, protecting the doll as if she feared Victoria might take it. "Of course, he does," Victoria replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Everyone always wants to help my naive sister." Sarah tried to sit up, visibly disturbed by her sister's presence. "Victoria, please, not in front of Lily." Nathan observed the dynamics with clinical interest. Clearly, there was a complicated history between the sisters, and Victoria's sudden arrival seemed more than coincidence. "Mrs. Turner," he said, addressing Sarah, "your condition requires immediate hospitalization. I know a clinic in Boston that can provide the appropriate treatment. If you'll allow me, I can make the arrangements today." Victoria stepped forward. "And who's going to pay for that, doctor? Treatments for aplastic anemia cost a fortune." Nathan's gaze hardened. "That's not your concern." "Actually, it is," Victoria insisted. "As Sarah's closest relative, I'm responsible for ensuring that medical decisions are made correctly. And also," she added with a predatory gleam in her eyes, "I'm thinking about what's best for my niece. Obviously, Sarah is in no condition to care for Lily." Lily ran to her mother's side, grabbing her hand. "No, I won't leave Mom." Nathan realized the situation was getting out of control. "Mrs. Victoria, why don't we talk outside? Let's let Sarah rest a bit." On the small porch of the house, Victoria showed her true colors. "Look, Doctor, I don't know what your interest is here, but this is a family matter. My sister is too proud to admit it, but she doesn't have the resources to treat herself or care for the girl." "And you generously offer to take on these responsibilities?" Nathan asked ironically. "Lily is my niece. I can give her a life that Sarah could never offer. As for my sister," she shrugged, "I'll pay for basic treatment, of course." Nathan studied the woman in front of him. In his years of medical practice, he had met many types of people, and he knew how to recognize when someone wasn't being sincere. "Mrs. Victoria, I'll be direct. Your sister needs specialized treatment immediately. I'm willing to pay for this treatment personally. As for Lily, she will stay with her mother." "And who are you to decide that?" Victoria narrowed her eyes. "A rich doctor who appears out of nowhere, interested in my sister and niece. There's something very strange about this story, Dr. Reed, and I intend to find out what it is. Inside the house, Lily had snuggled next to her mother on the sofa bed, showing her the doll. I wasn't really going to sell Emma, Mom, she whispered. I just wanted to see if someone cared enough to help us. Sarah stroked her daughter's hair with trembling hands. Your father always said you had a wise heart, Lily. Bigger than the world. Dr. Nathan seems nice, doesn't he? He has sad eyes like yours sometimes. Sarah looked at the door where Nathan and Victoria were discussing in low but tense voices. Yes, honey. Eyes that have seen a lot. The next morning, against Victoria's protests, Nathan organized Sarah's transfer to a specialized clinic in Boston. The small village of Harbor Cove was buzzing with speculation about the rich and mysterious doctor who had appeared to help Sarah Turner. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Mrs. Jenkins, the owner of the only local inn, assured everyone she knew him well. Dr. Reed used to come here with his parents when he was a boy. The family had a summer house on the north end of the beach. Mr. Thompson, the oldest fisherman in the community, added details. His father was a famous surgeon in New York. Young, Nathan was always quiet, but he liked to help at the infirmary during the summer. While the residents pieced together the puzzle of who Nathan Reed was, Lily was packing a small suitcase to accompany her mother. Victoria, who had checked into the inn, insisted that the girl should stay with her. Don't be stubborn, Lily. A hospital is no place for a child. You can stay with me at the inn, and we'll visit your mother every day. Lily hugged Emma, her cloth doll, like a shield. Dr. Nathan said there's a special room at the clinic where I can stay. It's a clinic, not a hospital, and there's a school for children who are accompanying family members. Victoria didn't hide her irritation. This doctor shows up out of nowhere and thinks he can decide everything. Who does he think he is? Someone who's actually helping, unlike certain people, replied Lily with surprising maturity for her 9 years. Victoria's face hardened. Watch your tongue, girl. Remember that. I'm your only family besides your mother. My dad was my family too, and he taught me to recognize good people, retorted Lily, carefully placing Emma on top of the suitcase. Victoria observed the doll with sudden interest. This doll, your father made it for you, didn't he? Michael always had talent with his hands. Yes, he made it when I was 5. It's special. A calculating gleam passed through Victoria's eyes. You know, Lily, your father left some things for you, important documents. When all this is over, we need to talk about them. Before Lily could ask more, Nathan arrived to pick them up. A specialized ambulance was waiting to transport Sarah, and a car would follow with Nathan and Lily. The goodbye to Harbor Cove was brief. Mrs. Wilson promised to send Sarah's complete medical prescriptions while other residents approached to wish her well. Victoria watched everything from a distance, a forced smile on her face as she waved to imaginary cameras as if she were starring in an act of charity. Is she coming with us? Lily asked Nathan as they got into the car. Your aunt? No, but she said she'll visit us in Boston in the next few days, he replied, adjusting the rearview mirror. Lily sighed with relief. That's good. She always looks at Emma in a weird way. Nathan smiled, perhaps the first genuine smile Lily had seen on his face. You and that doll have a special connection, don't you? Daddy used to say that Emma keeps my secrets and his too, replied the girl enigmatically. The journey to Boston took a few hours. Lily slept part of the way, hugging the doll, while Nathan drove in silence, occasionally checking the ambulance, following them in the rearview mirror. St. Catherine's Clinic was located in an upscale neighborhood of Boston, surrounded by well-maintained gardens. When they arrived, a team was already waiting to receive Sarah, who was immediately taken for examinations. Come, Lily, called Nathan. I'll show you where you'll stay while your mother has her initial exams. The room designated for Lily was comfortable and welcoming, with decor clearly designed to make children feel at ease. A small desk, storybooks, and even some games were available. Tomorrow you'll meet other children who are here accompanying family members, explained Nathan. There's a study room where volunteer teachers help with lessons. Lily carefully placed Emma on the bed. Dr. Nathan, why are you helping us? You didn't even know us before yesterday." The question, direct as only a child could ask, caught Nathan off guard. For a moment it seemed he wouldn't answer. "Let's say I'm paying an old debt," he finally said. "To whom?" "To myself, perhaps." He checked his watch. "I'll see how your mother is doing. Rest a bit, it's been a long day." In the days that followed, Sarah underwent a battery of tests. The diagnosis confirmed the initial suspicion: severe aplastic anemia, a condition in which the bone marrow doesn't produce enough blood cells. The treatment would be complex, involving regular transfusions, immunosuppressive medications, and possibly a bone marrow transplant. Nathan personally supervised the case, checking every detail of the treatment, although he officially wasn't part of any hospital's medical staff anymore. His presence caused a stir among the clinic's doctors. "It really is Nathan Reed," commented a young doctor to a colleague. "I thought he had abandoned medicine after that case." "They say he never forgave himself for the mistake," replied the colleague. "He was considered one of the country's best hematologists before the incident." Lily, who was passing through the corridor at that moment, stopped to listen, hidden behind a column. "What case was that?" asked the doctor. "A wrong diagnosis. He confused a rare leukemia with aplastic anemia. The patient was a craftsman, if I'm not mistaken. When he realized the error, it was too late." Lily felt her heart race. A craftsman, her father was a craftsman, and he died of a disease that no one could identify in time. Could it be possible? The girl ran to her mother's room, finding her resting after another transfusion session. Sarah looked a little less pale, but still terribly fragile. "Mom," whispered Lily, "I need to ask you something important." Sarah opened her eyes, smiling, at seeing her daughter. "What is it, my love?" "Who was Daddy's doctor when he got sick?" The question seemed to surprise Sarah. Her eyes briefly drifted to the window before answering. "Why do you want to know that now, Lily?" "It's important." "Please, Mum," Sarah sighed. "Your father was treated by several doctors. In the end, he was transferred to a hospital in New York, under the care of a specialist named Nathan Reed," completed Lily. Sarah paled even more, if that was possible. "How do you know that?" Before Lily could answer, the door opened and Nathan entered, followed by a nurse carrying medications. Upon noticing the tense expression on Sarah's face and the way Lily was staring at him, Nathan seemed to immediately understand that something had changed. "Lily, why don't you go have lunch while I examine your mother?" he suggested, keeping his voice steady. "You were my dad's doctor," stated Lily, ignoring the suggestion. "And he died because you got the diagnosis wrong." A heavy silence took over the room. The nurse looked uncomfortably from Lily to Nathan, not knowing how to react. "Lily," Sarah tried to reprimand her daughter, but her voice came out weak. Nathan gestured to the nurse, who hesitated briefly before leaving, closing the door behind her. "You're right, Lily," admitted Nathan after a long moment. "I was the doctor who treated your father, Michael Turner, 3 years ago, and yes, I made a mistake in the initial diagnosis that may have cost precious time." "Nathan, no," interrupted Sarah. "We don't need to talk about this now." "Yes, we do," he insisted, pulling up a chair and sitting down. "Your daughter deserves the truth, Sarah, and you deserve to understand why I'm here." Lily clutched Emma to her chest, her eyes fixed on Nathan, a mixture of anger and confusion in her childish gaze. "Michael presented symptoms that I initially indicated as aplastic anemia," began Nathan. "The treatment for that condition is different from what's needed for the myeloid leukemia he actually had. When we realized the error, the disease had already progressed too far." "You killed him," whispered Lily, tears streaming down her face. "Lily!" Sarah tried to sit up, but weakness prevented her. "Don't say that. Your father had a terrible disease, and all the doctors did their best. But she's right in one aspect," said Nathan, his face a mask of guilt and regret. "I should have detected it earlier. It was my specialty, my responsibility. After what happened with your father, I abandoned clinical medicine. I couldn't trust my judgment anymore." "Then why are you helping us now?" asked Lily, wiping her tears with her sleeve. Nathan looked at Sarah before answering. "When I saw you in the square trying to sell your doll to help your mother, I didn't know who you were. But upon discovering, I realized it was a chance, not to redeem myself. Some things don't have redemption, but to do what's right. Sarah extended her trembling hand to Nathan. I never blamed you, Doctor. Michael always said you were the only one who really cared, who fought for him until the end. I failed him. Nathan held Sarah's hand, his voice choked with contained emotion. I won't fail you. The diagnosis is correct this time, I'm sure, and we'll win this battle. Lily observed the scene, confused by the contradictory feelings flooding her. On one hand, she wanted to hate the man who had made a fatal error in her father's treatment. On the other, she saw the genuine effort he was making to save her mother. Why didn't anyone tell us? She finally asked. Why didn't you reach out to us before? I tried, replied Nathan. I sent letters, tried to make contact, but you had moved away from New York, and no one knew where to. Later, I believed it would be better that way, that memories of the doctor who failed wouldn't help in your grief. Sarah squeezed Nathan's hand. Michael never lost hope, you know. Even in his last days, he kept making plans, creating things. She looked at the doll in Lily's arms. Emma was the last thing he made. Nathan looked at the doll, a beautiful creation. More than you can imagine, said Sarah with an enigmatic smile. Michael put a piece of his soul into each work. He said that way somehow he would always be with us. That night, after Sarah fell asleep, Lily sat in the small sitting room adjacent to her mother's room. Emma, her inseparable doll, rested in her lap as she leafed through one of the books from the clinic's small library. Nathan entered silently, carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate. I thought you might like something sweet before bed, he offered, placing one of the cups on the small table beside Lily. Thank you, she replied, without raising her eyes from the book. Nathan sat in the armchair across from the girl. Lily, I know it's difficult for you to trust me after what you discovered today. I don't expect your forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'll do everything in my power to help your mother. Lily finally looked at him. Why did you stop being a doctor? If you had continued, maybe you could have helped other people, corrected the mistake. The question, direct and straightforward as only a child could ask, hit Nathan hard. Fear, he admitted after a moment. Fear of making another mistake, of causing more pain. After what happened with your father, I lost confidence in my judgment. And now, I'm trying to find courage again. Your mother needs a doctor who knows her condition well, and I do. I can't let my fear harm her. Lily considered the words, thoughtfully caressing the doll. Daddy used to say that courage isn't not being afraid, but doing what needs to be done even when you are afraid. Nathan smiled. Your father was a wise man? Yes, he was. Lily hesitated as if considering something important. Dr. Nathan, there's something I need to show you, but you can't tell anyone, not even my mom. At least not yet. Intrigued, Nathan nodded. You have my word. Lily turned Emma over and carefully undid some nearly invisible stitches in the seam. From inside the body of the doll, she extracted a small, sealed envelope. Daddy put this in, here before he left. He said one day I would know when the right time to open it would be. I think the time is now. Nathan watched with growing curiosity as Lily opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a folded letter and a small key. Do you want me to leave so you can read it in private? He offered. Lily shook her head. No, I think you need to see this too. The letter, written in Michael Turner's firm handwriting, began with words of love for his daughter, expressing how much he regretted not being able to see her grow up. But soon, the tone changed to something more urgent. My dear Lily, if you're reading this, it means you found someone you trust enough to share Lily's secret with. I hope this person can help you and your mother with what I'm about to reveal. The letter went on to explain that Michael had discovered something irregular in his brother-in-law's business dealings. Victoria's husband, Richard, documents proving an embezzlement scheme from a charity were kept in a safe, whose key was attached to the letter. Richard discovered that I knew and threatened me. I feared for your safety, so I decided to keep quiet and hide the evidence. But now I realize that I may have made the wrong choice. If something happens to me, Richard and Victoria may try to get close to you, not out of love, but out of fear that the evidence might come to light. Nathan interrupted the reading, looking at Lily with concern. "Your aunt is married to someone named Richard." "Yes, Uncle Richard. He never comes to visit us, but Aunt Victoria mentioned that he's very interested in my well-being lately." Nathan frowned, analyzing the implications of the letter. "This explains your aunt's sudden interest in obtaining your custody." Lily nodded, her gaze much more adult than her 9 years. "She thinks I know where the documents are. That's why she always looks at Emma so much. Maybe she suspects that Daddy left some clue." "Where is this safe your father mentions?" "In his old studio in New York. Before he got sick, Daddy had a space where he made his sculptures. After we moved to Harbor Cove, the place remained closed." Nathan carefully folded the letter and handed it back to Lily. "This is something very serious, Lily. Your father was protecting you by hiding this information, but now we need to be equally careful." "What should we do?" asked the girl, putting the letter and key back inside the doll. "For now, nothing. Let's focus on your mother's recovery." "As for your aunt," Nathan paused, considering the options, "we need to be prepared for her next visit. If what your father wrote is true, she won't give up easily." As if summoned by Nathan's words, Victoria appeared at the clinic the next day. She was accompanied by a tall, severe-looking man who introduced himself as Richard Wright, her husband. "We've come to see how Sarah is doing," announced Victoria, handing an expensive bouquet of flowers to a nurse. "And of course, to check if Lily is being well cared for." Nathan received them in the hallway, preventing them from entering Sarah's room directly. "Mrs. Wright, Mr. Wright, we weren't expecting your visit today. Sarah just went through a treatment session and is resting." Richard extended his hand to Nathan, his grip too firm to be friendly. "Dr. Reed, I've heard a lot about you. Victoria told me about your generosity in taking on Sarah's treatment. I must say I'm curious about your motivations." "Medical motivations, Mr. Wright. Sarah needs specialized treatment, and I have the necessary resources and knowledge." Richard smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Certainly. But understand our concern. A doctor who abandoned the profession years ago suddenly interested in my sister-in-law's case. It's natural for us to wonder if there's something more." Nathan maintained an impassive countenance. "I suggest we let Sarah rest today. Perhaps you can return tomorrow at a more suitable time." "Actually," intervened Victoria, "we also came to discuss Lily's situation. We brought some documents that need to be evaluated." She took an elegant folder from her purse from which she extracted some official papers. "These are forms for Lily's temporary custody. Considering Sarah's condition and the long recovery ahead, we believe it would be better for the girl to stay with us in New York." Nathan observed the documents without touching them. "That's something Sarah should decide, don't you think? And from what I know, she's already made it clear that Lily will stay here." "With all due respect, Doctor," Richard assumed a condescending tone. "A patient in serious condition is not always able to make important decisions about a child's custody. As the closest relatives, it's our duty to ensure Lily's well-being." "And what would that well-being be? Separating a 9-year-old child from her sick mother? Inserting her into a strange environment, away from everything she knows?" Nathan kept his voice controlled, but his eyes conveyed unshakable firmness. "An environment with structure, quality education, stability," argued Victoria. "Things that Sarah could never offer, even before she became ill." The tension in the hallway was palpable. A passing nurse slowed her pace, observing the scene with poorly disguised curiosity. "I believe this discussion should include Sarah," Nathan finally said, "and an appropriate legal representative to ensure that Lily's interests are the priority." Richard put away the documents, his smile now more tense. "Of course, Doctor. We're reasonable people. We'll return tomorrow with our lawyer, if that makes you more comfortable." As the couple walked away, Nathan noticed Lily partially hidden behind a medical supply cart. From the girl's look, it was clear she had heard much of the conversation. "They're not going to take me, are they?" she asked, approaching as soon as Victoria and Richard disappeared into the elevator. Nathan crouched down to the girl's height. "No, Lily, not while I can help it. But we need to be smart now." "Like the characters in those spy movies Dad and I used to watch?" she asked, a slight smile appearing on her worried face. Exactly. And the first rule is, keep Emma with you. At all times. Don't let your aunt or uncle be alone with her, understood? Lily nodded solemnly. I understand. Can I tell Mom about the letter? Nathan hesitated. Not yet. Your mother needs to focus on her recovery. Any additional stress could be harmful at this moment. That night, after ensuring Lily was safe in her room, Nathan made some calls. The first was to an old friend in the FBI, the second to a lawyer specializing in family law, and the third to the clinic's security director. Michael Turner's suspicions about his brother-in-law needed to be verified. If Richard Wright was indeed involved in illegal activities, that would explain his sudden interest in obtaining Lily's custody and possibly access to the doll that might contain the key to his downfall. In the days that followed, Sarah continued her treatment, showing signs of gradual improvement. Lily alternated her time between studies in the clinic's special room and keeping her mother company, always, with Emma in tow. Nathan, in turn, seemed increasingly involved not only with the medical treatment, but with the protection of the small family. As promised, Victoria and Richard returned, this time accompanied by an intimidating-looking lawyer. The meeting took place in a conference room at the clinic, with Sarah present in a wheelchair, accompanied by Nathan and the lawyer he had contacted. We appreciate your concern, said Nathan's lawyer, after hearing the couple's arguments, but Mrs. Turner is fully capable of making decisions about her daughter's custody. Furthermore, the treatment she's receiving here includes appropriate accommodations for Lily, with educational and psychological support. Our concern is with the long term, insisted Richard and Victoria's lawyer. Treatment for aplastic anemia can take months, even years. A child needs stability. Sarah, who had remained silent until then, weakly raised her hand. May I speak? Her voice was weak but determined. Victoria, you're my sister, and I appreciate your offer. But Lily stays. With me always. Sarah, be reasonable. Victoria tried a conciliatory tone. Think about what's best for Lily. You're sick, without resources, depending on a stranger's charity. Dr. Reed is not a stranger, interrupted Sarah. He's helping us when no one else did. Where were you for the last 3 years, Victoria? Since Michael left. An uncomfortable silence took over the room. Victoria momentarily seemed at a loss for words. Mrs. Turner, intervened Nathan's lawyer, we've prepared a document formalizing your decision about Lily's custody during treatment. If you agree, we can register it officially. Sarah signed the document with trembling but determined hands. Victoria and Richard exchanged furious looks. This isn't over, Sarah, said Victoria as she left. We're just concerned about you and Lily. I hope you realize that before it's too late. When they were alone, Sarah looked at Nathan with an expression of gratitude mixed with concern. They won't give up easily, will they? Probably not, admitted Nathan, but we're prepared. Focus on your recovery, Sarah. I'll take care of the rest. At night, while Lily slept, Nathan found Sarah on the small veranda adjacent to her room. The patient was wrapped in a blanket, observing the city lights. Shouldn't you be resting? He asked, joining her. I needed some air and time to think. Sarah turned to face him. Nathan, why are you doing all this? The truth, please. It's not just guilt over what happened to Michael, is it? Nathan hesitated, contemplating the starry sky before answering. At first, maybe it was. When I saw Lily in the square trying to sell her doll, something awakened in me. Later, upon discovering who you were, I felt like fate was giving me a second chance. Second chance for what? To make a difference, to save someone I can save. He paused. But now it's more than that. You two brought something back to my life, a purpose. Sarah studied him in silence for a moment. Michael used to say that there are no coincidences, only meetings that the universe carefully planned. Your husband seemed to be a very wise man. He was. Sarah smiled nostalgically. Did you know he talked about you, even in his last days? He said you were the only doctor who really fought for him, who truly cared. Nathan felt a lump in his throat. I made a mistake, Sarah. A mistake that cost him his life. The disease took Michael, Nathan, not you. Sarah gently touched the doctor's hand. He knew that. And he wanted me to know it too. That moment of mutual understanding was interrupted by a subtle alarm coming from Nathan's pocket. He checked his phone, his countenance instantly transforming. "What happened?" asked Sarah, alarmed. "Someone tried to access Lily's room. The security system I installed was activated." Nathan was already moving, heading to the girls' room. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. When they reached the room, they found a night nurse standing at the door, confused by the silent alarm that had gone off. Lily was awake, sitting on the bed with Emma firmly hugged against her chest. "Someone tried to come in," said the girl, eyes wide. "I heard the doorknob turning." Nathan quickly examined the room. Nothing seemed out of place, but the attempted entry was concerning. After reassuring Lily and Sarah, he spoke with the clinic's security team. No unauthorized person had been seen on the floor, but the security cameras would reveal if anyone strange had tried to access the room. "From now on, Lily will sleep in the room with you," Nathan told Sarah. "I'll arrange for an additional bed immediately." In the days that followed, security around Sarah and Lily was reinforced. Nathan rarely left the clinic, dividing his time between supervising Sarah's treatment and ensuring the protection of both. A week after the incident, Nathan received news from his contact at the FBI. The preliminary investigation confirmed Michael's suspicions. Richard Wright was being investigated for embezzling funds from a charitable foundation he managed. The documents Michael had hidden could be the definitive proof to incriminate him. "We need to recover those documents," Nathan told Lily during a private conversation. "Do you remember exactly where your father's studio is in New York?" The girl nodded. "On Maple Street, number 27. It's an old building with a blue door. The studio was on the 3rd floor. And do you know where this safe would be?" "Daddy had a big cabinet where he kept his tools. The safe is behind a false panel at the back. He showed me once, saying it was our secret treasure hiding place." Nathan pondered the situation. Going to New York to retrieve the documents would mean temporarily leaving Sarah and Lily, something that worried him considering Victoria and Richard's recent attempts to obtain custody of the girl. As if reading his thoughts, Lily said, "Can't I go with you? I know the place, I know where everything is, and I don't want to be away from Emma." Nathan smiled at the girl's astuteness. The doll, which contained the key to the safe, would need to go with them anyway. "I'll talk to your mother. If she agrees and if the doctors think she'll be fine for a day or two, we can go together." Sarah, though concerned, understood the importance of the mission. "If this can end Victoria and Richard's threats, it's worth the risk. But promise you'll take care of her, Nathan." "With my life," he replied, with an intensity that surprised them both. The trip to New York was planned with meticulous care. Nathan hired additional security for Sarah during their absence and arranged a car with a driver to take him and Lily to the city. Officially, they were going to visit a specialist for a second opinion on Sarah's case. The car journey was calm, with Lily alternating between moments of excitement for the secret mission and concern for her mother. Nathan, in turn, maintained constant contact with the clinic, ensuring that Sarah was doing well. New York received them with its characteristic grey sky and chaotic traffic. Lily, who hadn't visited the city since she moved to Harbour Cove with her mother, observed everything with a mixture of nostalgia and estrangement. "Everything seems smaller and bigger at the same time," she commented, as the car advanced through familiar streets. Nathan smiled. "That's how we feel when we return to places from our childhood. We change, and our perception does too." The building where Michael Turner's old studio was located maintained its faded blue door, but the rest of the building showed clear signs of deterioration. The doorman, an elderly gentleman, recognized Lily immediately. "Little Lily, how you've grown," he exclaimed, opening a genuine smile. "It's been so long since you visited." "Hi, Mr. Jenkins," replied Lily, hugging the doorman. "This is Dr. Nathan, a friend of my mom's. We came to get some things Daddy left in the studio." The old doorman looked at Nathan with an appraising expression before nodding. "The studio is just the same. No one has entered since you moved. Your father paid the rent in advance for 5 years, did you know? He said one day you would return to claim his inheritance. Nathan exchanged a significant look with Lily. Michael Turner had planned everything carefully, ensuring that the incriminating documents would be safe until his daughter came to retrieve them. The studio on the 3rd floor was a large space, with high windows, now covered by a thin layer of dust. Sculptures in various stages of completion were distributed throughout the environment, silent witnesses to Michael's interrupted talent. Lily walked through the space with reverence, touching her father's tools, recalling moments shared there. Nathan observed, giving her time to reconnect with the memories. "There," she said finally, pointing to a massive dark wood cabinet. "That's where the safe is." Together they moved the cabinet a few inches from the wall, revealing a back panel that, as Lily had indicated, was removable. Behind it, embedded in the wall, was a small safe. Lily carefully removed the key from inside. "Hammer?" With trembling fingers, she inserted it into the safe's lock. A soft click indicated that the lock had yielded. Inside the safe was a plastic folder, some photographs, and a small diary. Nathan helped Lily retrieve the contents, examining the folder first. As they suspected, it contained documents detailing the embezzlement scheme operated by Richard Wright, including bank statements, forged contracts, and even copies of checks. "Your father was meticulous," commented Nathan, impressed with the extent of the evidence. Lily was leafing through the diary, her eyes widening as she read her father's notes. "Nathan, look at this," she called, extending the open diary. "Daddy wrote about his illness here." Nathan took the diary carefully, reading Michael Turner's words. "The doctor, Dr. Reed, suspects that the initial diagnosis may be wrong. He's the only one who really seems concerned, who doesn't treat me as just another case. Today he mentioned the possibility of leukemia instead of anemia. If he's right, the previous treatment may have been harmful. I don't blame him. I see in his eyes the weight of the possibility of a mistake. I know he'll do everything to help me now." The following entries detailed the rapid progression of the disease, Nathan's growing desperation to find an effective treatment, and Michael's gradual acceptance that his time was running out. "I asked Dr. Reed to look after Sarah and Lily when I'm gone. He promised to do what he could, but I don't know if he'll be able to find them after they move. Sarah is determined to start over somewhere else, away from the memories and from Victoria. I fear this will make it difficult for help to reach them." Nathan closed the diary, deeply moved. "Your father didn't blame me, Lily, and he asked me to take care of you. In a way, I'm fulfilling my promise years late." Lily impulsively hugged Nathan, her small arms barely circling his waist. "I'm glad you found us, even if it took a while." After gathering all the necessary documents, they restored the safe and cabinet to their original position. Lily took one last look at her father's studio, recording every detail in her memory. On the way back to the car, Nathan's phone rang. It was the clinic. Something had happened to Sarah. "What happened?" he asked, heart racing. "Dr. Reed." The head nurse's tense voice came through the device. "Mrs. Victoria Wright showed up with a temporary custody order for Lily. When we informed her that the girl wasn't at the clinic, she became furious. There was a scene, and in the midst of the confusion, Mrs. Turner had a crisis. Her blood pressure dropped drastically." "I'm returning immediately," replied Nathan, quickening his pace. "Reinforce security and don't let anyone enter Sarah's room." Upon hanging up, he saw Lily's apprehensive face. "Is my mum okay?" asked the girl, her lower lip trembling. "She had a small complication, but she's being taken care of. We need to return quickly." In the car, Nathan explained the situation, in terms the girl could understand, without unnecessarily alarming her. He also made quick calls to his contact at the FBI and to the lawyer. "We have the evidence now," he told the investigator. "Richard Wright is desperate to recover it, to the point of trying to obtain custody of his niece through questionable means." "Bring the documents directly to us," replied the investigator. "We have enough for a search warrant on his properties, but your material could seal the case." Upon arriving at the clinic, they found a tense environment. Additional security had been positioned, and the medical team was on alert. Sarah had been stabilized, but the incident had demonstrated how fragile her condition still was. "Mum!" Lily ran to Sarah's side as soon as she entered the room, still firmly carrying Emma. Sarah opened her eyes, smiling weakly at seeing her daughter. "Lily, my love, everyone is making a big fuss over nothing. I'm fine." Nathan examined the monitors and the medical chart, confirming that although the scare had been real, Sarah was in fact recovering well. "You need to rest, Sarah. No more strong emotions for now." "Hard to avoid when your sister shows up demanding to take your daughter," replied Sarah with a slight touch of humor, despite the situation. "We got what we went for," said Nathan in a low voice. "Now we can resolve this situation once and for all." As planned, Nathan delivered the documents found in Michael's studio to the FBI. The investigation, which was already underway, gained momentum with the new evidence. Within days, search and seizure warrants were issued for Richard Wright's properties. Victoria and Richard, realizing they were being investigated, made one last desperate attempt. They appeared at the clinic, accompanied by a court officer and their lawyer, demanding Lily's immediate surrender. "We have a court order," insisted Victoria, brandishing the document. "Lily will come with us today." Nathan, who had been expecting this move, responded calmly. "That order was obtained with false information. I have here." He showed a folder. In his hands, a counter-order issued by the family court judge, temporarily suspending any previous decision until a full hearing can be held. The court officer examined the new document, confirming its authenticity. Richard, visibly nervous, pulled Victoria by the arm. "Let's go. We'll resolve this another way." "I don't think you will," intervened a firm voice. A man in an impeccable suit approached, showing a badge. "Richard Wright, we have a warrant for your arrest for embezzlement from the New Tomorrow Foundation, and Victoria Wright, you're being investigated as an accomplice." The couple was removed from the clinic under police escort, leaving a stunned silence behind. Lily, who had been observing everything from a safe distance with Emma in her arms, ran to Nathan as soon as Victoria and Richard disappeared from view. "Is it over?" she asked, her eyes seeking confirmation. Nathan crouched down to her height. "Yes, Lily, it's over. Your aunt and uncle can't threaten you anymore." In the weeks that followed, Sarah continued her treatment with increasingly promising results. The constant tension about possibly losing custody of Lily had been a significant source of stress, and its removal seemed to contribute positively to her physical recovery. Nathan, in turn, rediscovered his passion for medicine. Initially focused only on Sarah's case, he began offering consultations for other patients at the clinic with complex hematological conditions. His expertise, updated by years of theoretical study during his withdrawal from clinical practice, proved to be invaluable. Lily flourished in the clinic environment, making friends with other children in the study room and developing a growing interest in medicine, to Nathan's silent delight. On a sunny afternoon, 3 months after the start of treatment, Sarah received news that changed everything. Her tests showed a sustained remission of the aplastic anemia. Although she would still need regular follow-ups, she could gradually resume normal activities. "Does that mean we can go home?" asked Lily when Nathan explained the situation. A significant silence filled the room. The girl's simple question brought with it complex implications. Home meant the small village of Harbour Cove, far from the clinic, far from Nathan. "Yes, eventually," replied Nathan, choosing his words carefully. "Your mother will still need regular consultations, but she doesn't need to stay hospitalized anymore." Sarah observed the interaction between her daughter and the doctor with a thoughtful smile. Over the months, she had witnessed the development of a special bond between the two. Lily had found a father figure, and Nathan had rediscovered the joy of making a difference in someone's life. "I've been thinking," said Sarah, breaking the silence, "maybe we don't need to go back exactly to Harbour Cove." Nathan and Lily turned to her, surprised. "I received an offer to coordinate a therapeutic craft project here in Boston," she continued. "The program director learned about my work through some pieces I made during my recovery." "That's wonderful, Sarah," exclaimed Nathan, genuinely happy for the opportunity. "Are we going to stay in Boston?" asked Lily, her voice divided between excitement for the novelty and nostalgia for the village where she had grown up. "If you want to," replied Sarah. We could find an apartment near the clinic. You could continue at the same school you're attending now, and Dr. Nathan could visit us whenever he wanted. The look Sarah gave Nathan contained an unasked question, a possibility that both had begun to consider, but never verbalized. Nathan felt his heart race. For months, he had dedicated himself to Sarah and Lily's case as a form of redemption, a way to compensate for the past mistake. But at some point, without realizing it, his feelings had transformed into something deeper, more personal. "Actually," he said, gathering courage, "I'd like to be present more than just as a doctor or occasional visitor." Sarah smiled, extending her hand to him. "We would like that too, wouldn't we, Lily?" Lily, observing the adults with the characteristic insight of a child, smiled broadly. "I knew it. Emma told me this would happen." Nathan and Sarah laughed, easing the tension of the moment. "Oh, really? And what else did Emma predict?" asked Nathan, joining in the joke. "That we would be a family," replied Lily simply. "Different from the one I had before, but a family nonetheless." The girls' words deeply touched Nathan and Sarah. Amid adversity, illness, grief, threats, they had found something precious, a new chance, a new beginning. In the months that followed, life began to assume a new rhythm. Sarah, progressively stronger, started her work in the therapeutic craft program, using her talent to help other recovering patients. Nathan officially returned to medical practice, taking over the direction of the clinic's hematology department. Lily, turning 10, celebrated her birthday in the new apartment they now shared. The simple party brought together friends from school, the medical team that had become part of their lives, and some residents of Harbour Cove who made a point of travelling for the occasion. In a quiet moment of the celebration, Lily found Nathan on the balcony, watching the sunset over the city. "Thank you for the gift," she said, referring to the microscope he had given her. "I'll be able to see all those cells you showed me in the books." Nathan smiled, putting his arm around the girl's shoulders. "Who knows? Maybe one day you'll become a doctor too?" "Maybe," she replied thoughtfully, "or an artist like Dad and Mum, or both. I could create sculptures of cells and organs to help other doctors learn." "That would be amazing," agreed Nathan, impressed with the girl's creativity. Lily hesitated for a moment before asking, "Nathan, do you think Daddy would be happy with all this?" The question, laden with meaning, made Nathan reflect. After all they had shared, he knew the answer needed to be honest. "Your father wanted you and your mother to be happy and safe, Lily. I believe he would be very happy to know that you found a place where you can be both." Lily nodded, satisfied with the answer. "He liked you, you know. I read it in his diary. He said you were different from the other doctors." "Your father was an exceptional man, Lily. I see a lot of him in you." The girl smiled, hugging Emma, who rarely left her side even after all the adventure. "Can I tell you a secret? Sometimes I still talk to Emma. I know it's silly that I'm too big for that." "It's not silly," Nathan gently interrupted. "Emma is a special connection to your father. And who knows? Maybe she really does keep a little bit of his magic." From across the balcony, Sarah observed the scene with a heart overflowing with gratitude. Her journey since the diagnosis had been arduous, but had also brought unexpected gifts. In Nathan, she had found not only the doctor who saved her life, but a companion who understood her story, who respected the place Michael would always occupy in their hearts. When the last guest left and Lily fell asleep, exhausted but happy, Sarah and Nathan sat in the living room sharing a glass of wine. "She's growing up so fast," commented Sarah, looking at her daughter's closed bedroom door. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing everything right." Nathan took her hand, intertwining their fingers. "You're an amazing mother, Sarah. Lily is proof of that. Intelligent, compassionate, brave. We were lucky to find you," she said, resting her head on his shoulder. "Or maybe it wasn't luck. Maybe Michael sent you to us somehow." Nathan smiled at the idea. "I like to think he would approve. I'm not trying to replace him, you know." "I know, and that's why it works, Nathan. You respect his place in our lives. You understand that love doesn't diminish when shared, it grows." That night, as the city slept, 3 hearts found peace in a home rebuilt from the ashes of loss. Emma the doll, sitting on the shelf in Lily's room, seemed to smile in her silence of cloth and buttons. guardian of past secrets and future promises. A year later, St. Catherine's Clinic inaugurated a new wing, the Michael Turner Center for Hematological Treatment. Nathan, now medical director of the institution, had dedicated months to the project, ensuring that the center offered cutting-edge treatment for conditions like those that had affected Michael and Sarah. At the inauguration ceremony, Lily, now 11, cut the ribbon alongside her mother and Nathan. The girl had grown a few inches, but her eyes maintained the same mixture of innocence and wisdom that had captivated Nathan that afternoon in the square. "On behalf of the Turner family," said Sarah at the microphone, her voice firm and healthy, "we thank you for this honor. Michael believed that art could heal the spirit and medicine the body. This center represents the union of these two powers." Nathan watched with pride as Sarah described the art therapy program that would be implemented at the center, allowing patients to express their emotions through art during long treatments. In the front row of the audience, Mrs. Wilson and other residents of Harbor Cove applauded emotionally. The small community continued to be an important part of the family's life, even though their roots were now deepening in Boston soil. After the ceremony, while guests circulated admiring the facilities, Nathan found Lily sitting alone on a bench in the garden, Emma in her lap. "Is everything okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. Lily smiled, but her eyes showed a shadow of melancholy. "I was thinking about Daddy. I wish he could see this." Nathan put his arm around the girl's shoulders. "I'm sure he can somehow." "Nathan," said Lily after a moment of silence, "Mom told me you two are thinking about getting married." The direct statement caught Nathan by surprise. He and Sarah had discussed the matter the night before, planning to talk to Lily together at the right time. "Your mother and I wanted to talk to you about that," he responded carefully. "What do you think of the idea?" Lily considered the question with the seriousness she applied to all important decisions. "I think it would be good. You're already part of the family anyway." Nathan felt a lump in his throat. "That means a lot to me, Lily. I want you to know that I'm not trying to replace your father." "I know," she replied simply. "Daddy will always be my dad. But I think he would be happy to know we have you now." The wedding took place 6 months later, an intimate ceremony on Harbor Cove Beach at sunset. Sarah, radiant in a simple silk dress, carried a bouquet of wildflowers. Lily, as maid of honor, wore a dress as blue as the sea that witnessed the union. In the front row, an empty chair with a photo of Michael symbolized his eternal presence. In the family. On the photo, Emma watched the ceremony as a silent guardian of all the secrets and stories that had brought them there. When Nathan and Sarah exchanged vows, Lily watched with eyes bright with tears and smiles. The girl who had once tried to sell her doll to save her mother now had a complete family again, different but whole in its own way. Life followed its course, as it always does. Sarah expanded her art therapy program to other clinics, becoming a national reference in the field. Nathan, having rediscovered the purpose of his medical career, dedicated himself to treating patients and training new specialists, ensuring that mistakes like the one he had made with Michael became increasingly rare. Lily grew up balancing the artistic sensitivity inherited from her parents with the scientific curiosity stimulated by Nathan. At 15, she already demonstrated talent for both worlds, creating anatomically precise sculptures that helped medical students visualize complex structures. On an ordinary Sunday afternoon, 4 years after the wedding, the family was strolling along the waterfront in Boston. Lily, now a 15-year-old teenager, walked a few steps ahead, occasionally stopping to look at the sea. "She's thinking about doing an exchange program next year," commented Sarah as she walked hand in hand with Nathan. "She wants to spend a semester studying art in England." Nathan smiled. "I think it's an excellent idea. She has the whole world to explore." "Remember that frightened girl in Harbor Cove Square?" asked Sarah nostalgically. "Look at her now." Lily had stopped to help a small child who was crying because he had dropped his ice cream. With gentle gestures, she bought a new ice cream for the boy and talked to him until the smile returned to his little face. "She always had that huge heart," said Nathan. "That's what captivated me that first day, that determination to help at any cost." Sarah squeezed his hand. "You saved us, Nathan." "No," he replied, gently kissing his wife's forehead. We saved each other. Later that night, while Sarah prepared dinner, Nathan found Lily in her room, organizing a box of mementos. Emma occupied a place of honor on the shelf, a bit more worn by time but still vigilant. "May I come in?" he asked, lightly knocking on the half-open door. "Of course," replied Lily, smiling. "I'm separating some things to show when we visit Harbor Cove next weekend." Nathan observed the photographs, shells and small treasures the girl kept. Among them, he recognized Michael's diary and the letter they had found inside the doll years ago. "Do you still read your father's writings?" "Sometimes," she admitted. "Each time I read, I discover something new. It's like he's still teaching me." Nathan nodded, understanding. "Your father was a very wise man." "You know what he wrote at the end of the diary?" Lily opened the notebook to one of the last pages. He said, "True love isn't possession, it's liberation. I want Sarah and Lily to be free to find happiness again, even when I'm no longer here. Love doesn't end with absence, it just changes form." Nathan felt his eyes moisten. He was right. "That's why I was able to accept you as part of our family," continued Lily, "because I understood that loving you didn't mean loving Daddy less. It meant that our hearts simply grew to include more love." The wisdom of the young girl, so beyond her years, left Nathan speechless. He simply hugged Lily, silently thanking the man he would never truly know, but whose legacy of love continued to guide them. At dinner, while sharing stories and laughter, the family that had formed from the ashes of loss celebrated the present without forgetting the past. The journey that had begun with a desperate girl in the square had transformed into a story of renewed hope, demonstrating that even in the darkest moments, light can find a way to shine again. Sarah raised her glass in a toast. "To family, the one given to us by birth and the one we build throughout life." "To family," echoed Nathan and Lily, their glasses of juice and wine touching in the center of the table. And somewhere beyond human understanding, Michael Turner smiled, knowing that his last and most important craft work, the love he had planted in the hearts of Sarah and Lily, continued to flourish, more beautiful and stronger than he had ever imagined. The end. Dear listener, Lily's love taught us that family is who takes care of us. Tell us your opinion about this moving story. Leave your like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.